Okay. Oh boy. Let's just review some schedule changes. Yes. Is there a length requirement?
Yeah.
For like
the assignment one?
there wasn't a length requirement for assignment 1 either. And I rue the day that I said 5 to 10 pages because I got asked that many times. No, there's no length requirement.
All right.
2 bases, each with some subdivisions. How many pages that takes, we don't care. We're not at all looking at pages. Okay, just to make sure everyone's on sync, a few schedule changes. No lecture on Thursday. No discussions on Friday. I see people tapping their cheeks. They're crying. Finally, no. Final exam on Thursday, that's not a change, just a reminder. Final exam, same time as scheduled from the very beginning. In this room, 8 a.m. sharp. Usual seating deal. We'll reserve a few rows at the back for latecomers. I'm sure everyone will be up and bright and chipper at 8 a.m. But we'll try and start right on time. You can leave when you're done. Probably some of you will leave quickly. Closed book, closed notes, no calculators. Any other final exam questions? I don't think you'll be surprised in the slightest by the format or the specific question. I hope not. Okay. No office hours on Thursday either. I'm going to be off campus Thursday morning. That's the reason for this. But instead, I'll have alternate office hours on Wednesday and later on Thursday. Okay? So feel free to stop by my office down Ben Hall 5058. If you have questions about homework 3 or anything else related to the course or anything unrelated to the course. Okay. I think it's time for clickers. For the last time, so you probably all won't get the answer to this right, but that's okay. Do your best. If you followed all the links in the readings, you'll know what I'm talking about. But you didn't have to, so. Okay, the topped out at 169. Oh, wow. We'll give it 1 minute. So you had to follow the link on Nerd Sniping. Anyone notice that link and not follow it? Probably, lots of you. Very good, very good. A lot of people did follow it. So if you don't know what we're talking about, go back to it and follow the Nerd Sniping link. How could you not follow the term Nerd Sniping? How could you not be curious what that was all about? Okay, Cupid, eh? Yeah, that's right. Computer science of course. Okay, all right. So here's maybe a little bit more content. Another one, a little bit more content oriented, but still a little bit. I think everyone knows Schadenfreude, what that means. Joy at the sufferings of others, especially a friend, right? Joy at your friend, something goes wrong and it kind of makes you happy a little bit. Yeah. The laugh of recognition. We've all felt it. Come on, we should be able to get back up to 171. Okay, well that's going to have to do. Okay. There's always no right answer here, but just, what your reaction was. It's kind of interesting that, so one of the things that I wanted you to get out of this a little bit, though it's really pretty tangential, is what's the role of math in doing things. And, there's always a school of thought that says math is so important, and if you don't know, advanced whatever, then you can't really be a whatever the job is. And then there are always other people who say, I've never used that in my life. So I don't have an answer, I don't have an opinion, but it's an interesting topic. Let's look at the actual let's see, where is this? Okay, so the main reason I wanted to bring this up is I wanted to talk a little bit in this class about sort of really the user interface, the user experience, the user interaction design side of software engineering. It's super, super important. It tends to sometimes, as in this class, it sort of gets tacked on at the end, but it really can be the driving idea behind software engineering, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. But I just wanted, before we talked about sort of in general, I wanted to sort of make sure you had all seen a specific example of something kind of prosaic and everyday, like, sort of drop-down submenus. And but you can see, if you read this carefully and thought about it, that there's actually a lot of subtlety here, and people, I see like 3/4 of people just mesmerized at these clicking, turning things. So, it is kind of fascinating. But let's go to that. Rather than being, my interest is not particularly fascination with submenus, but just it's something that you can spend a lot of time at, and if done well, works really nicely, but to do it well requires really thinking about how do people do things, and in this case it's kind of just how does the mouse move, which is kind of on the simple side, but there's a lot of things in this category that are a little bit more complex. How do you type in a search and then you go to this screen and then how do you know how to get back, or things like that, and a little bit more transaction and traversal, and what does a person have in their head. And so, for instance, I'm sure you've all had the experience of searching for something, and if you don't know the word of what you're searching for, it's awfully hard to find it, right? So what do you do? How do you do it? Like yesterday, I had a friend in grad school, and all of a sudden I was wondering, I haven't seen him in 20 years. I wonder what he's doing. Unfortunately, I don't remember his name. So how do you find someone whose name you don't remember? Well, it took me a while, but then I remembered a friend in common, and I remembered our friend in common's name, and who I also haven't seen for a long time. And then those two people had written a paper together, and so when I was looking through our mutual friends' list of publications, there I saw the other guy's name. So, so that's the sort of a mental process I go through. Is there some way that could be captured in a web page or a search engine or something like that? Well, probably not. But there are that's the sort of question, is really what's going on in people's minds and how do they react and what information do you want to give them in what order. It's a really interesting perspective on software engineering, and it's can be the driving perspective in a way. So that's sort of what I wanted you to read this. Also, this is just an interesting blog post, because he does have these automated, he isn't just telling you this, he's actually showing you this. I guess these are little GIFs. And then I thought that the comments were kind of interesting. So I don't really have much to particularly say about them. Did anyone read any comments that they thought, wow, it was just what I thought, or I was completely off base? So the other thing I wanted you just to be aware of, and I couldn't remember whether it had come up yet in this class, is, here we go, is Hacker News. And I think I mentioned it, but if you're interested in kind of the world of entrepreneurial software development, this is definitely a website to check in on every once in a while and see what's going on. It will, I think, initially be a lot of people talking about things you have no idea what they are, but as you read and sort of are interested and maybe follow things up, you begin to learn some of the vocabulary and some of the perspective and some of the assumptions that people are making. And if you're interested in that world, not everyone wants to be a hacker or an entrepreneur or start your own company. Not everyone here wants to make $1 billion, and that's okay. So, but if you are interested in that combination of things, this is definitely a must-read at least every day or 2 or 3 sort of website. So, and in general, they have pretty good comments on things. In other words, this is one of these sites like Reddit. I mean, it's the same software as Reddit, with sort of nested comments. And I think that in itself is an interesting user experience sort of thing. Okay, so that was mostly something I wanted to show you to lead into other things, which we will get back to in a minute.